What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and another defense spotlight. Now, before we get into the spotlight, remember that today is actually my 4-year stream anniversary for Dungeon Defenders. I'm going to be live over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Pacific time, which as of the release of this video, that is about 7 hours from the time this video gets published. Now, going to be live all day over there on Twitch. Link is down in the description below. Got lots of cool stuff to give away and lots of fun to be had celebrating my 4-year DD2 anniversary. Now, without further ado, let's hop into the spotlight. Today, we're going to be taking a look at them snakes. Oh yeah, and we're going to be doing the poison snakes. Now, a lot of people have asked me about doing this spotlight. This will be a little bit of a lengthy one, as there's lots of pros and cons and lots of things to discuss. Now, first off, what I mean by poisonous snakes or poisonous vipers is that Venomous Viper mod that you can find for the Sand Vipers. Now, in this particular case, it adds 461,000 poison damage over 9.3 seconds when hit by the Sand Viper. Now, this makes the Sand Viper a very viable choice for controlled burn lanes or any situation where you need poison on the mobs. Now, with the controlled burn particularly, this is not going to be your bread and butter. If it's a lane with a lot of mobs, this alone will not handle controlled burn. The reason being is it only will hit 3 targets with this current setup, meaning that if there's lots of mobs, there's going to be plenty of mobs come through that don't get targeted, as the Viper will not switch targets until its current target is either dead or out of range. Now, first off, let's hop right on into the goods. This is a mean tower. It puts out really nice DPS. I usually average right around the 1.7 million mark. If we let this sit here and tick, I'm sure it's going to go up to 1.7 once I get a few strings of lucky crits in the mix, but it's usually about 1.7 million single target DPS. Now remember, that is multiplied by 3 as I am using the Split Viper. Now, why Split Viper, you ask? Well, first things first, you can get in a lot more damage if you're not using Split Viper. If we pop that bad boy out of there and take a look at the same tower, let's put it over on this one this time, we see that it's going to be considerably more damage. It's going to be at least 500,000 to 1 million more overall DPS than what you're getting with the Split Viper. Now, the difference here is I personally prefer 1.5 million DPS times 3, or getting 4.5 million total lane output DPS, than just the one single target, in this case doing 3 million DPS. It can really rip out the damage. However, remember that you have to look at the damage done and not just the DPS number. Just staring at the single target DPS number is not going to get you super far, and you're always going to be better off looking at your lane, the total output damage that a tower can do, or the amount of damage done at the end of a map. Now, there's a few cons that go along naturally with Vipers. First things first is, no matter what, one Viper beam one target can only be hit with one Viper beam. Meaning that if I put down 2 Sand Vipers, that front target is not going to get hit. Now, the good part about this is like in this situation, we got 2 Vipers down, only 60 DU, and we've got 6 individual targets getting hit between 1.5 and 2 million DPS. That alone is a very, very nice thing. However, compare it to the single target damage of, say, like cannonballs, where you can have 5 cannonballs sitting there and they're all going to pound away at one target. It's going to, as far as single target defenses go, that is going to burn the mobs super, super quick. Now, another big con about the Venomous Viper, and I'm going to compare it directly over to the Earthshatter Tower and the Earthshatter mod. That particular mod, the damage will stack. So the damage ticks will stack up on top of each other. If it's a really healthy mob, like say an ogre, the amount of damage just from that mod will get over 1,000,000 damage per second. No matter what, with Venomous Viper, you're never going to go above that 50,000 DPS that you're getting for a mod. Now, besides having the ability to poison enemies for a controlled burn lane, this means that you're using up a mod slot and only getting 50,000 DPS out of it. At the 461,000 poison damage over 9.3 seconds, that's straight up divided, and that's the amount that you get. So if we get rid of the Viper, we're going to see that it's just going to, the poison is going to continue to tick for that 51k, with crits going up to 82,000. Now, once again, it does add some viability in controlled burn, and you can use it in controlled burn. However, if you like your Vipers and you want to use it more frequently in more varied situations, you're going to be better off not using the Venomous Viper mod. I personally I'm going to save this relic, that way I have it. However, I'm going to do a new Viper setup, and I'm going to use it without Venomous. Now, as far as the other mods go, remember that to use Split Vipers, you're losing a mod slot. So you would have to get rid of either Destruction, Defense Rate, or Deadly Strikes. Now, I chose to get rid of Deadly Strikes, and that means I've got terrible, terrible range on my Vipers. So a natural choice for me for that first mod slot is the Defense Range Servo. Now, with that being said, even if, say, I got rid of this and put a Deadly Strikes in it, let's see if we can't find a Deadly here somewhere. Let's snag this Deadly Strikes out of my PDTs and throw it into the mix, and then we're going to see that we can indeed get to the range cap of 6250. Now, 6250 is a very big range. If you have a gilded Deadly Strikes mod, let's take a look at one of those, and actually, let's take a look at it without, let me just borrow that relic for a minute. We'll take a look at it without having any range on it at all, and then we'll grab that gilded Deadly Strikes and pop that in, and then check it out again. We're not quite at 6250. So a gilded Deadly alone is not going to get you to the range cap on the Sand Viper. And that is why I choose to go with a range mod itself, and I just don't, even with a gilded Deadly Strikes, it's not going to get me there. I'm going to get more overall lane damage using Split Vipers, so I went with a defense range mod. Now, in addition to that, I do not have, this is a tower that I don't use as frequently as others, and I don't have an extra defense rate shard laying around that's gilded. If I had a gilded defense rate shard, I would be at the cap. There wouldn't be an issue. Now, since I don't, I have to go with a defense rate shard and the defense rate mod to get myself to the speed caps. Now, as you see the combination I have here, between the 33% you get from the shard, the 35% you get from your ascension, and then this additional 29% I'm getting from the mod, I'm way over the cap. So I've got some missed opportunity there. I could have put a much lower quality mod on this item and still got myself to the cap. However, this is the mod that I had at the time, so this is the one that went on it, and that's why I'm choosing to use defense rate. Now, if I did have a gilded Deadly Strikes to go in here, I would get rid of that defense rate altogether and put something else on there. Some more defense power, maybe fire damage to use it on frosty lanes, something along those lines. Now, I also mentioned I'm going to be getting rid of Venomous Viper soon, so there will be another Sand Viper Spotlight incoming that will show off whatever I use as the new build. However, I do suggest play around with Split Vipers. I personally absolutely love it. It adds just lots and lots of damage potential to the tower itself, sacrificing some single target DPS to be able to hit 3 targets instead. To recap again on the Venomous Viper, if the poison stacked, this mod would be incredible. since it doesn't stack, you're actually losing out versus just putting like raw defense power or an element in defense power or something along those lines onto your Vipers. So hopefully this helps everyone understand how to build up their Poisonous Vipers. It is just a really strong tower. I mean, getting that much DPS out of a tower that's only 30 DU at tier 1 is just ridiculous. You jack this up to say tier 5 and you're just going to be getting really, really nice damage out of a tower that only costs you 30 DU. But you just have to remember the various cons that go along with it, where an additional Viper won't stack damage on the same target, so it makes it kind of completely pointless where you would ever be able to use, say, 3 Vipers in a lane. You're just going to constantly get into a situation, like even right now with 6, we've got 7 targets right here in range. We've got 2 Vipers, or 2 beams out of this 3rd Viper that are actually not doing anything. Actually, it just picked up a 2nd one. So we got 1 that's not doing anything and just sitting there spamming away. So definitely play around with the Vipers. However, always check out the pros and cons with them. It can be a strong defense. God knows it's a cool looking defense. Who doesn't want laser beams shooting everywhere? Particularly laser beams coming out of a snake. That's just good stuff altogether. So thank you all once again for watching. Click that like button. Please subscribe. Don't forget to swing by and say hello to me over today on Twitch. So thank you again, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy.